Hi, it's Ian Parker. I'm a past national president today. We're going to talk about our code of conduct. Article 1 talks about the rights of the corporation that may be exercised by the decision of the majority of its members. Some of those rights include to carry out its purpose and to exercise any of the rights or authority granted it by law, to change its purposes if permitted by law and its charter, to merge with another organization or to disband, to establish procedures governing the admission of members and to grant or refuse membership according to the law and the corporation's governing documents, to establish and amend through changes to its governing documents the rights, privileges, and obligations of its members, either by extension or by limitation, to delegate authority to the extent permitted by law and the governing documents to officers, boards, committees, and non-compensated employees, to elect its officers and appoint committee members in accordance with the governing documents, to terminate the membership of a member or associate in accordance with Article 2 and Article 3 of the corporation bylaws and with the procedures outlined in Article 12, the disciplinary procedure of this code of conduct, to hold property and to defend or enter into litigation in its own name. Now, this list isn't inclusive of all rights belonging to the corporation. In addition to these rights, a member has rights as a person. There are also associational rights, property rights, and parliamentary rights, all of which are protected by law. A member's associational rights stem from their membership in the corporation. For example, a member has the right to fair and equitable treatment from other members of the corporation. The rights of membership may vary depending on whether the person is an associate, a member, or some other type of member, for example, honorary. A member has the following fundamental rights under common parliamentary law, subject only to any specific limitations contained in the corporation's governing documents: to be sent notices as commonly distributed to the general membership, to attend meetings, to present motions, to speak on debatable questions, to vote, to nominate, to be a candidate for office, to inspect official records of the corporation, to ensure the enforcement of the rules of the corporation and of parliamentary law, to resign from an office or from the corporation itself, to be afforded all rights outlined in Article 12, disciplinary procedure of the Code of Conduct, to receive and have the right to inspect a current copy of the corporation's governing documents and minutes of the corporation, and to exercise any or all other rights and privilege given to its members by law or by corporation governing documents. A member should exhaust the means provided for enforcing such rights under the governing documents and the rules of parliamentary procedure before pursuing further action. Now, rights of membership are covered in Article 2. The dues amount is set forth annually at the preceding National Convention and is payable by August 31st. Corporation pins are available to dads, members, and associates. The appropriate pin may be purchased through the National Online Store. All members shall renew their membership dues before August 31st of each year. If you join between June the 1st and August 31st of each year, your membership due will be effective through the following August. Membership cards will be issued by the chapter membership chair, if requested, to new and renewing members in good standing and upon payment of dues. The template for this card is on the national website. Members with 25 years of continuous service will receive special recognition. Now, an honorary membership may be conferred upon submission of a letter of recommendation to the National Executive Board. An honorary membership is conferred upon an individual who doesn't meet corporation eligibility requirements, but who's proven through deeds and actions to have an outstanding and continued commitment to the United States Armed Forces, its veterans, and their families. Honorary members do not have voting rights or eligibility to be elected or to be an appointed officer. Lifetime membership shall be awarded to the outgoing national president upon completion of her term in office and approval of the National Executive Board. Now, Article 3 covers the application process. There are 4 ways that members may join and renew their memberships, both at the department and chapter levels. They can use the online link and membership information to join on our website, bluestarmothers.org. The individual may join or renew with the assistance of the chapter membership chair or other qualified chapter member. The chapter financial secretary will accept the funds, and the chapter will prepare and submit a dues report by uploading and attaching the complete and legible application to either the department or national. The report must be submitted within 30 days of the individual joining. Renewals, transfers with a completed application, an associate must have an application. Documents must be marked accordingly. An individual may also mail a completed and legible application and check to the National Financial Secretary. That address for her is listed on the appropriate application. Individuals may join or renew using the approved Blue Star Mothers of America app on a smartphone or other electronic device. Now, Article 4 covers the section about transferring to another chapter. If a transfer is to a chapter that's not part of a department, then the transferring member should complete a transfer application and submit it to the chapter membership chair of the chapter to which she wishes to transfer. The chapter membership chair will then verify that the applicant has paid her membership dues or that she's attached a check to the copy of the transfer application showing that it's been paid and forwarded to the chapter to which the applicant is transferring. The chapter membership chair will then submit a copy of the transfer application to the National First VP to follow up. Now, occasionally there may be a situation where it's just best for the transferring member to go directly through the National First VP instead of going through their current chapter. If the transfer is to a chapter that's part of a department, then the chapter membership chair shall submit the above described paperwork to the department financial secretary overseeing the chapter to which the applicant wishes to transfer. The department financial secretary will then send the information to the chapter to which the applicant is transferring. Now, occasionally a situation may arise where it's just best for the transferring member to go directly through the National First VP instead of going through their current chapter. Article 5 covers the chartering of a chapter. A group wishing to create a chapter may obtain a chapter application from the National Fourth VP. The charter application requires original signatures of at least 6 different persons eligible to be members, with 5 of those serving as officers. The new chapter must hold an organizational meeting where the members will sign the charter application, establish a meeting place, day, and time, and elect officers. This permits members to be able to arrange their calendars in advance so they may participate. If the newly formed chapter is in a state with a department, the department president will serve as a liaison between the members of the newly forming chapter and the National Fourth VP. The newly forming chapter shall work closely with and through the department president. The National Fourth VP shall forward the approved chapter to the department president to present to the new chapter at the next chapter meeting. If she's unable to attend, she may delegate another department officer to attend, who will swear in the members, present the charter, and install the 2 chapter officers. If a new chapter is not part of a department, then the newly elected chapter president will receive the approved charter for presentation to the chapter at the next meeting. If a member of the National Executive Board or a past national president cannot attend the meeting, new members may be sworn in and officers installed by phone or a virtual platform. Chapters must fill out a chapter dues roster form upon formation and thereafter continue to keep the national database updated. Chartering a department is covered in Article 6. If at least 3 chartered members within one state wish to form a department, a meeting should be called to discuss that possibility, with representatives present from each of those chapters. The meeting should be centrally located in the state and provide adequate time for the chapters to discuss forming such a department. A group wishing to charter a department must obtain a department charter application from the National 4th VP. The department charter application requires the original signature of presidents from all chartered chapters at that meeting. Once the department chapter application has been completed, the group must hold an organizational meeting. At this meeting, the members of the chartering chapters shall elect officers, and the department shall establish periodic meetings and a tentative convention date between September 1 and November 30th. And the name shall be the department of whatever the name of the state is. The newly elected department president will be informed when the charter has been approved. And if a member of the National Executive Board or a past national president cannot attend the meeting, new officers may be sworn in and installed by phone or virtual platform. Once the department is formed, any existing chapters within the state will have the option to join, but will not be required to join the newly organized chapter. All new chapters will fall under the newly chartered department. After the organizational meeting, the department must register with the appropriate state authorities, follow the legal procedures for obtaining an employer identification number, and the necessary paperwork with the Internal Revenue Service, as described by the corporation's legal counsel, obtain a checking account, the signatures of which must be the department financial secretary, the department treasurer, and the department first VP, rent a department post office box, and order the department president's pen, if available, through the National Financial Secretary. Meetings. Meetings should be conducted in person within a group setting. However, when a meeting must be held through teleconference, chat room, or social platforms, the meeting must follow the same rules as face-to-face meetings and must be inclusive of all members, with the exception that all elections must be held in person. Departments, chapters, or auxiliaries are encouraged to conduct in-person meetings. However, when not possible, a combination of in-person and virtual meetings can be held to encourage the participation of all members. If a department, chapter, or auxiliary cannot hold an in-person meeting for elections, a member of the National Executive Board shall facilitate the elections portion of the online meeting to ensure election confidentiality. Now, Section 1 of Article 7 says the gavel is the symbol of authority and should be used to bring the meeting to order and to adjourn the meeting. Section 2 has a suggested agenda for a meeting, which may include the following, but not necessarily all of the following: call the meeting to order, prayer, moments of silence or devotion, pledge of allegiance to the flag, Blue Star Mother's preamble, roll call of officers, reading and approval of minutes, introduction of guests. Officer and committee reports include compliance issues, recognition of new members, correspondence to be read to the members, acceptance of financial reports to be set aside for review, presentation and approval of expenses and bills, if not budgeted, unfinished business, new business. Now, in the case of elections, that would be the first order of business. Announcements, remarks, and closing with either a prayer, moment of silence, or devotion, and adjournment. Emblems are covered in Section 8. The official pin of the corporation shall be a five-pointed blue star in the center of a white circle bound in red with the words Blue Star Mother. The official flag shall be a white flag with the official logo on a blue star under the words Blue Star Mothers of America Incorporated. These flags are available in the online store. The official service banner shall be a white rectangular bordered in red with a blue star in the middle for each qualifying child as authorized by the Department of Defense. The official flower should be the blue painted daisy. Article 9 will talk about the uniform. The uniform for members' convention, unless otherwise specified, like on a day where it says patriotic casual, formal events, members, memorials, and presentation are the following: a white blouse, a navy blue skirt or dress pants. The shoes may be either navy or black. The American flag and the corporation pin shall be placed over your heart. Current and past national presidents, department presidents, and chapter presidents can wear their highest level office pin under the corporation pin. Auxiliary guard pins may be attached to the corporation pin. You may wear a name badge or a pin on the right chest. Up to 6 additional Blue Star and military service affiliation pins may be displayed with or without a ribbon mounting below the corporation pin. There shall be minimal jewelry and no scarves. White gloves when participating in formal ceremonies only, and if a member is a Gold Star mother, she may choose to wear all white or follow the American Gold Star Mothers Incorporated guidelines. For events described in Section 1, the following is optional. Navy blue jacket, garrison hat with patch, may be embroidered in royal blue with chapter name, number, state, or with the highest office served within the corporation and the years of service in that office. No pins or other decorations may be attached to the hat. The proper placement of the hat is 2 fingers above the eyebrows. And for department presidents and chapter presidents only, a navy blue cap. Section 3 says that members also have the option of wearing a white nurse dress uniform to events listed in Section 1, which are conventions, formal events, memorials, and presentation. Now, national executive officers, board elected officers, and past national presidents shall wear the following uniform to the event listed in Section 1. A white blouse, a white or blue skirt or dress pants, a white jacket, a white suit, or a white dress. A navy blue jacket may be worn when attending any Gold Star Mother event to distinguish our officers from the Gold Star Mothers. White shoes when wearing all white, navy, or black with navy skirt or pants. The American flag and corporation pin shall be placed over your heart. Current and past national president, department president, chapter presidents can wear their highest level office pin under the corporation pin. Auxiliary guard pins may be attached to the corporation pin. You can wear a name pin or badge on the right chest, and up to 6 additional Blue Star and military service affiliated pins may be displayed with or without a ribbon mounting below the corporation pin. There shall be minimal jewelry, no scarves. White gloves for formal events only, and if the mother is a member of a Gold Star Mother, she may choose to wear all white or follow the American Gold Star Mothers Incorporated guidelines, and the white cape is optional. The informal uniform for all members and officers for fundraising, rallies, parades, etc. is Blue Star Mother and or patriotic apparel and the corporation pin, which is optional. Our Blue to Gold program is covered in Article 10. A Department of Defense official banner may be presented to the spouse and parents of a fallen military member who is on active duty. All banner presentations must be approved by the National 3rd VP, which is accomplished by completing a Gold Star banner request, which you'll find on our national website. Please refer to the Blue to Gold guidelines posted on the national website for complete instructions. Now, the corporation logo. It is the responsibility of the National Executive Board to ensure that the logo is being used in a manner that safeguards the integrity of our corporation. The following is the procedure to request use of the corporation logo. The department president or chapter president should submit in writing a request to the national president specifying in detail how the logo will be used, what it will be used for, and if this is an ongoing department or chapter project. Example, a fundraising item, a banner, a sign, a rally, etc. Permission must be received from the national president before any logo is placed on any article unless described in Article 11, Section 2D. In fundraising, if any member has an item that is sold and has the logo on it, a financial report with 25% of the net profit must be forwarded to the National Financial Secretary to be placed in the general fund. Use of the logo of the following items does not require National Executive Board approval. Department or chapter funds, letterhead, notices, brochures, note cards, donation receipts, promotional items not for sale, such as tablecloths or runners, certificates of appreciation, business cards, blue to gold memorial books. Now, let's talk about the official convention logo. If the national president designates a convention logo, that logo can be used by the Department of Chapters for fundraising purposes for attending that convention without paying the 25% surcharge for the logo. Departments and chapters are encouraged to use the logo on merchandise that can be sold to raise funds for their respective delegates to attend the convention. Section 3. If items with the logo are sold directly through the online store of the corporation to departments, chapters, or individuals, these items will not be altered. However, items that do not contain the logo that might be sold to departments and chapters to be used for fundraising projects may be altered, and any profit kept by the chapter or department. Now we'll go to Article 12, the disciplinary procedure. The purpose of the Member Associate Behavior Code is to ensure that the corporation carries out its mission productively in an atmosphere of democracy and cooperation. Our interaction with our members, our associates, the public, and those we serve through our mission must be respectful, honorable, safe, and secure, as well as enjoyable. This code is intended to define generally accepted behavior as further described. Our corporation is nonpartisan, non-political, non-sectarian organization. We don't support any political candidate, nor do we endorse any religious organization. The military represents all aspects of America, as does our corporation. The Member Associate Behavior Code shall apply to all members and associates, and all terms and conditions of the disciplinary procedure in this article shall apply to members and associates alike. Each national president, department president, or chapter president, together with their executive board, shall ensure that the procedure set forth in this policy is followed by the membership in a consistent manner. Compliance with this policy is the responsibility of all members and associates. Now, general member associate behavior. Members and associates should treat each other in the spirit of our corporation's core values and history. Members and associates should treat one another, public officials, our military, and those in neighboring communities with courtesy and goodwill at all times. This includes communications by telephone, email, virtual platforms, meetings, activities, and events. Hard work through volunteer efforts of our members, one's title at any level of the corporation, educational background or skill level doesn't give any member or any associate the right to mistreat or cause petty grievances toward others. All contributions of time and talent should be encouraged. Highly active members should not criticize or denigrate the contribution of less active members. Abusive behavior, from profane or threatening language to physical violence in our dealings with our volunteers, those we serve, as well as those to support us, is prohibited. Harassment or discrimination on the basis of race, national origin, religion, political affiliation, physical disability, or any other reason will not be tolerated. Personal disputes have no place at national, department, or chapter meetings or any corporation event. Disputes between members during activities or events will not be resolved through argument, and it should be referred to the National Executive Board, Department Executive Board, or Chapter Executive Board for resolution. Members associates shall not personally accept tips, gratuities, or monetary rewards from the public or to grant a favor. All such funds will be the property of the respective national, department, or chapter or auxiliary organization where applicable. Announcements, discussions, or remarks regarding politics, political parties, or persons holding a particular public office will not be part of discussions that may be overheard by the public, supports the corporation or those we serve, or the membership at any corporation activities, meetings, events, etc., disparaging any political party or person holding public office at any level of government. We are a nonpartisan corporation. Members and associates who hold public office at city, county, state, or national levels will not use the corporation in any way to further any of their political activities or agendas. Organization business, mission, and lines of authority. In every organization, operations must have a chain of command. National, department, and chapter activities shall have a person assigned for oversight. A member or officer can be elected or appointed to serve as an oversight of an officially recognized national, department, or chapter area of responsibility, where all members or associates are encouraged to suggest projects, events, and activities. Their volunteer efforts shall be coordinated by the assigned or elected official. All chapters are assigned a chapter mentor that is available to all members or associates to assist with questions. Members and associates are also able to contact any member of the National Executive Board, the Department Executive Board, or the Chapter Executive Board. Members and associates are prohibited from making false claims, representations, or allegations aimed at individuals regarding any aspect of the corporation through any means. Everyone is, including members and associates, are to avoid words or deeds that are arrogant, insensitive, belittling, cruel, or disrespectful. They should set an example of good conduct for others to follow. This includes, but not limited to, the utilization of any type of distributed hard copy or electronic copy material, public service announcement, or publicly broadcast means of communication, including television, radio, email, internet blogs, or social media. Members and associates shall not represent themselves as an authorized agent of the corporation, except that the president is the authorized agent for the corporation. The president, at her level of oversight, whether it's chapter, department, or national, is the corporation's authorized agent and may enter into legal contracts of any kind with an outside entity. The president may assign this duty to an executive board member, preferably a vice president, as recorded in the minutes of a national executive board, department executive board, or chapter executive board meeting, should she be unavailable to sign such contract. The national president or department president will not, by herself, be involved in chapter disciplinary issues, except to provide minimum advice when solicited to chapter leadership. She must remain neutral and cannot take sides on such matters. All conflicts, grievances that are received by the national president or department president will be discussed by the National Executive Board or Department Executive Board and referred to the appropriate committee for investigation and action. Now let's talk about treatment of Blue Star Mothers property, which belongs to the corporation at any level. Members and associates are trustees of the corporation's property. It must be treated with reasonable care. Members serving through an elected or appointed position at all levels of the corporation are required to transition all property, financial files, minutes, and records entrusted to them for their term to the successor within 10 days after retirement from office. If the items are not returned, legal action may be taken and the cost will be assessed to that member. An inventory list should be used to account for property at all levels and signed by the retiring member fiduciary and their successor fiduciary on transfer of said property. All corporation property is under the managing control of the respective National Executive Board, Department Executive Board, or Chapter Executive Board. All property is to be used for its intended purpose. No individual may dictate how it's to be used. This applies to members who have invested time and money toward the procurement, replacement, restoration, or operation of any equipment or property. The contribution of time, money, or services conveys ownership to the corporation, not to the contributor. Theft of corporation property in the member's possession requires the filing of a police report. Members or associates who lose replaceable corporation property are responsible for the cost of that replacement. Now, members who violate this behavior code will be subject to disciplinary action as outlined in Section 2, Member Associate Discipline in this policy. An executive board may immediately suspend members for cause pending further review and disciplinary action as described in Section 2. Any department or chapter suspending a member or associate must notify the individual within 48 hours, and the national president or the respective department president must also be informed within 48 hours, and she will notify the national first VP. Now, Section 2 goes into member associate discipline. This purpose is to establish a clear, impartial, and equitable policy on handling alleged or suspected violations of the behavior code, governing documents, operating rules, procedures, and all other policies that govern the management, administration, operations, and mission of the corporation will be handled. Members and associates are encouraged to talk with each other to resolve their problems. Although we seek to provide a place in which all members and associates feel that they are an important part of Blue Star Mothers of America Incorporated, and where all members and associates feel fairly treated, there may be times when individuals have issues which can best be resolved through a formal procedure for resolution. All issues are to be resolved in accordance with the procedures provided in this section. Now, number 2 says after the official report of a member discipline issue is received and further examination and investigation is made if necessary, the respective National Executive Board or Department Executive Board will determine if disciplinary action is warranted. The National President or Department President will inform the individual in writing of the National Executive Board or Department Executive Board decision within 48 hours. Written notification will either be through the U.S. Postal Service and or email. Disciplinary action procedure. Corrective action is progressive, and the following is the order in which the steps for individuals will normally occur. It should be recognized that one or more of these steps could be omitted according to the circumstances of each individual case. So, number 1 is the informal discussion. Every attempt will be made involving informal discussion before proceeding to stronger disciplinary action. A record of the discussion will be written and maintained. Written warning. This action involves a discussion with the president regarding the rule, behavior guide, governing documents, policies, or procedures with emphasis on correcting the behavior. During the discussion, the length of time allowing the individual to correct an action or improve a behavior should be specified. The individual should be certain that she understands the reason for the warning, for correcting an action or improving behavior that's been issued, and the terms for avoidance of further action. This warning shall be presented in writing within 48 hours of the decision, and the individual will be asked to sign and date the document as indicate that she has seen and understands the document. The document shall be signed and dated by the president. If a member associate refuses to sign the document, the president shall insert individual refused to sign. The president will sign and date the letter. The department executive board or chapter executive board must notify the national president of this action within 48 hours since the individual is no longer in good standing. The national president will inform the national first VP, and as long as no other disciplinary action is taken place, the written warning will expire at the end of 6 months. Disciplinary probation is number 3. If both informal discussion and a written warning fail to correct the problem or resolve the dispute, the member associate will be placed on probation. Probation is the testing or trial period for an individual who violated or caused offense. Probation allows the individual to participate under supervision and only under conditional circumstances. The onset, duration, and conditions of the probationary period shall be set by the respective National Executive Board, Department Executive Board, or Chapter Executive Board, and the President, based on the particular offending circumstances. It may occur after one or more informal discussions or written warning, or simultaneously without warning. The Department Executive Board or Chapter Executive Board must notify the individual and the national president of this action within 48 hours, since the individual is now no longer in good standing, and the national president will notify the national first VP. Number 4 is a discretionary suspension. For the welfare and good of the corporation of the member associate, suspension may be required. Suspension involves including the suspension of membership privileges, excluding the member associate from use of corporation property, meetings, activities, events, etc. A suspension allows the opportunity to review the circumstances and hold discussions with all parties involved before further action is taken. Depending on the results of the review process, all or part of this suspension may be revoked. The Department Executive Board or Chapter Executive Board must notify the individual and the national president of this action within 48 hours, since the individual is no longer in good standing, and the national president will notify the national first VP. Automatic suspension under the influence. The president shall suspend the operating and volunteering privileges of any member or associate of the corporation who is under the influence of alcohol or any other substance that the individual's safety, such that the individual's safety and those of others, as well as their generally accepted behavior, cannot be assured until such time that the president is ensured that the member will safely behave appropriately in participation of such activities. The Department Executive Board or Chapter Executive Board must notify the individual and the national president of this action within 48 hours, since the individual is no longer in good standing. The national president will notify the national first VP. Automatic suspension, assault, or intentional property damage. The president shall suspend the operating and volunteering privileges of any member or associate who commits bodily injury or assault on any person or causes willful damage or destruction of corporation property. The Department Executive Board or Chapter Executive Board must notify the individual and the national president of this action within 48 hours, since the individual is no longer a member in good standing, and the national president will then notify the first national VP. Automatic suspension, failure to return corporation physical property. Any member or associate who's been contacted through the corporation's official means of communication more than once after the time frame for return of property is exceeded shall immediately be suspended. The Department Executive Board or Chapter Executive Board must notify the individual and the national president of this action within 48 hours, since the individual is no longer in good standing, and the national president will notify the first national VP. Automatic termination of membership. Failure to return the corporation's critical files, records to include financial records essential to perpetuating national department or chapter operations. Only the National Executive Board has the authority to terminate a membership. No one else does. The individual must be notified within 48 hours of this decision. Automatic termination of membership for members, associates, insubordination. Intentional refusal to acknowledge and comply with official communications from the National Executive Board. Intentional refusal to comply with a direct order or written policies and governing documents. Abusive behavior from profane or threatening language to physical violence toward a member in the presence of other members. Again, remember, only the National Executive Board has the authority to terminate a membership, and this individual must be notified within 48 hours of such decision. Termination of membership. Member associate membership may be terminated through the final actions of the National Executive Board after a full investigation has taken place, and the member must be notified within 48 hours. Now we go to the section called conflict resolution. Conflict resolution refers to the process used to mediate a dispute between two or more individuals in our organization. In some organizations, conflict can be inevitable, and good conflict management tools are essential. Conflict resolution can be defined as the informal or formal process that two or more parties use to find a peaceful solution to their dispute. The national president or department president shall refer all interpersonal conflicts to the established conflict resolution committee, who individually must sign a confidentiality agreement which will be filed with the National Recording Secretary or the Department Recording Secretary. The conflict resolution chair will receive requests for conflict intervention from the national president or the department president. Upon receipt of the request, convene her committee and develop a list of interview questions to be utilized. At that time, if a committee member has a conflict of interest, it should be stated, and a new committee member will be assigned in their place for this particular investigation. They will schedule individual meetings with all parties involved using an electronic platform such as Zoom or Google Meet. A minimum of 2 members of the committee shall participate in every meeting. The meetings will be recorded. If an individual refuses to participate, it will be so noted in the formal report. Upon completing the investigation, determine the next steps to address the underlying issue and resolve the conflict. If the conflict is not resolved, advise the national president or department president, who will discuss the issue further with the National Executive Board or the Department Executive Board. Prepare a monthly report for the national president or department president outlining conflict resolution meetings held with the individuals, all actions taken, no later than 1 week prior to the next scheduled National Executive Board or Department Executive Board meeting. Next thing covered is grievance procedures. A grievance is a complaint by a member or associate concerning any matters related to members' associates' participation within the corporation. Verbal warnings will not be resolved using this grievance procedure. Any formal written grievance must be initiated within 90 days of the alleged violation. All grievances must be in writing. Using the form provided by the corporation on our national website, the individual must clearly state and concisely state all known facts related to the grievance, including who, what, where, when, and why. The individual must clearly explain why the member associate disagrees with the action or omission that forms the basis of the grievance. The individual must cite the specific Blue Star Mothers of America governing document or documents violated to include article, section, etc. Describe the action or conduct that constitute the violation, including only the facts related to the grievance. Any signed or dated witness statements as necessary may be attached. The individual must sign and date the grievance and forward it to the national president or the department president. All allegations will be received by the national president or department president, who will send within 10 days an acknowledgement of receipt to the member or members who submitted the allegation or allegations. If any of the necessary information is missing, the grievance will be returned to the member associate. The national president or department president will present the allegations to the National Executive Board or the Department Executive Board. Such should the National Executive Board or Department Executive Board determine further investigations are warranted, the national president, department president will furnish by email all documents and information to the grievance chair. The assigned chair will acknowledge receipt by return email with all committee members copied on this email. The chair and committee members shall review the allegations. The national or department grievance committee is composed of a minimum of 3 members in good standing as appointed by the current national president or department president. If needed, the national president or department president may appoint an ad hoc committee or committees to handle additional grievances as they arise. The national president or department president will designate the committee chair. The chair will request one or other members act as the record keeper for the committee. All members of this committee must sign a confidentiality agreement, which will be filed with the National Recording Secretary or Department Recording Secretary. Once a properly completed grievance is received, the National Grievance Chair or the Department Grievance Chair will meet to discuss the grievance utilizing a virtual meeting platform. If this is not possible, then a telephone conversation will ensue. At that time, if a committee member has a conflict of interest, it should be stated and a new committee member will be assigned in their place for this investigation. Develop a list of interview questions to be utilized. Schedule individual meetings with all parties involved using an electronic platform such as Zoom or Google Meet. A member of two members of the committee, it's a minimum of two, will participate in every meeting. The meetings will be recorded, and if an individual refuses to participate, it'll be so noted in the formal report. They'll determine if there's a need to interview others not named who may have key information pertaining to the situation, and they'll schedule those interviews. A minimum of two National Grievance Committee or Department Grievance Committee members must be present for the entirety of all meetings. After a thorough investigation, the National Grievance Chair or Department Grievance Chair will compile a written report stating only the facts. There will be no recommendations made by the committee and will provide this information to the National President or Department President. The National President or Department President will then submit this to the respective boards in executive session. All investigations should be completed in 90 days or less. However, certain circumstances might require additional time during holidays or when interested parties are not immediately available for meetings. Now let's talk about authority with regard to discipline. The National Executive Board has the authority to terminate the membership of a member or associate of the corporation if a member or associate is involved in activities through their actions, speech, affiliation, social media, or website posting that's deemed harmful to the corporation. A department or chapter officer or chair who has oversight of an activity has the authority to immediately dismiss a member or associate from that particular activity if the actions or behavior of the member or associate cast an unfavorable light on the corporation involving verbal or physical abuse, unlawful or illegal actions, willful disregard of the purpose of the established meetings, activity, event, program, or assignment, or willful disrespect for our behavior code, governing documents, operating rules, procedures, and all other policies. If a member or associate is removed from an activity, the designated authority with oversight of that event will inform the department president, the chapter president, as soon as the activity is over. A report will be prepared describing the behavior of actions that led to the removal of the member or associate for the respective president as soon as possible. Executive boards will be the first line of authority to discuss further discipline decisions regarding a member or associate's removal from a meeting, event, or activity with their respective departments or chapters. The final decision on any action taken resulting from a substantiated violation of the behavior code, governing documents, operating rules, procedures, and all other policies of the corporation rests with the executive board and the decision administered by the president at their respective level. The president will inform the member in writing of the board's decision within 48 hours. If it is a written warning or suspension, the National Executive Board, the Department Executive Board, appropriate, must be informed within 48 hours, and the national president will notify the national first VP. Suspension decisions made by the chapter executive board may be appealed to the department executive board or national executive board through their respective chain of command. Department decisions may be appealed to the national executive board. Decisions made by chapters without departments may be appealed by the NEB, and all decisions made by the National Executive Board are final. A member retains the right to request mediation at the member's expense. Documentation. Corporation official disciplinary communication should be sent via email with a read receipt, as well as using certified and regular United States Postal Service. National president, department president, chapter presidents are required to maintain hard copy physical files of all disciplinary action with the exception of verbal warnings. These files must be provided to the successor president and referred to when making new disciplinary decisions to ensure that all members and associates are treated in a consistent, fair, and equitable manner. Now, let's talk about general fundraising. Departments and chapters may conduct public fundraisings to aid their general treasurer. For projects administration, certain procedures must be followed. Be mindful that other chapters within the area may be raising funds for the same reason. Many problems can simply be avoided by contacting other chapters in the area before an event. Otherwise, stay in the local area as defined in your chapter's charter. The exception would be coordinated events such as a county or state fair, a music festival, a car show, a parade, a rally, VA facilities, and military base events. So, communication is the key here. Stay in contact with other chapters in your area, but remember that serving on VA facilities and military bases have no boundary restrictions. We all are there to serve our veterans and our military, all those particular facilities and bases. At a fundraiser, display a sign with the chapter information and the purpose for which the funds may be used. Donations received for a specific purpose are restricted to be used solely for that purpose and nothing else. It's prudent to state that the donations should be used to promote the mission and purpose of the National Department Auxiliary, which will include but not limited to assisting our troops, the wounded, the families of the fallen, veterans, and military veteran families. And that way you don't have to specifically use it, say, for Wreaths Across America or some event, if you simply state that funds will be used for the furthering of our mission. When you're out fundraising, have a copy of all tax and other paperwork available to provide to show that the department chapter auxiliary is part of a tax-exempt nonprofit corporation, including appropriate state documentation if required. Have written information with you regarding the corporation and the department chapter auxiliary available. Items can include recent projects, book of thank you notes from the troops and veterans, a poster board of pictures, etc. If planning a raffle or other games of chance, comply with local state officials for rules and regulations regarding the conduct of such activities, and keep detailed records of inventory and financial transactions. Publicize the event through newspapers, television, signs, social media, etc. You might even have a special basket of cards and items to be collected to send to our military. Last but not least, be familiar with National Department Chapter Auxiliary Responsibility as an Internal Revenue Code 501c3 tax-exempt organization in the event a donor or potential donor asks for financial statements. Failure to provide the requested financial statements jeopardizes the entire corporation. Refusal to follow the Internal Revenue Service guidelines could be a grounds for revocation of your chapter. Article 14 deals with our work with the VA, the Veterans Affairs Voluntary Services, also known as VAVS. The Department of Veteran Affairs oversees the VAVS program. Veterans hospitals are funded through the congressional budget and as such have limited resource for extras such as TVs, phones, comfort items, etc. Various volunteer groups have joined together to volunteer their time and resources to assure that those who served America receive the benefits and care they so richly earned. The corporation is proud to support VAVS goals through a representative or deputy to the VA Hospital Advisory Committee. All VAVS activities go through the National VAVS representative. She will appoint representatives and deputies per facility. Representative and deputies work with volunteers to organize special events such as picnics, bingos, ceremonies, and to recruit volunteers and work with chapters to organize parties for patients and take donated items to that facilities. Chapters and departments should keep records of all volunteer items and the value of such donated items as clothing, coupon books, etc. The duties of the representative are as follows: to attend quarterly committee meetings with voting rights, to assist in the completion of the annual joint review, to report back to their department or chapter, to be knowledgeable of VA policies, requirements, and guidelines, and to assist and train member volunteers. The duty of the deputy is to assist the representative and, in the absence of the representative, perform her duties. Representatives who fail to communicate or report to the VAV's national representative on a monthly basis shall be removed from the position if failure to communicate continues for a 3-month period of time. A letter will be written by the National VAVS representative to the hospital and clinic the non-compliant representative was assigned to, notifying them that the representative has been removed from office. Now let's talk about the whistleblower policy in Article 15. If any member or associate reasonably believes that some policy, practice, or activities of Blue Star Mothers of America is in violation of law, a written complaint may be filed by that member or associate with the national president or with any other member of the National Executive Board. It is the intent of Blue Star Mothers of America to adhere to all laws and regulations that apply to the corporation, and the underlying purpose of this policy is to support the corporation's goal of legal compliance. The support of all members is necessary to achieving compliance with various laws and regulations. The identity of the whistleblower is considered confidential and is protected from disclosure. A member or associate is protected from retaliation only if the member brings the alleged unlawful activity, policy, or practice to the attention of the National Executive Board and provides the National Executive Board with a reasonable opportunity to investigate and correct the alleged unlawful activity. The protection described below is only available to members that comply with this requirement. BSMA will not retaliate against any member or associate who in good faith has made a protest or raised a complaint against some practice of Blue Star Mothers of America or of another individual or entity with whom Blue Star Mothers of America has had a business relationship on the basis of a reasonable belief that the practice is in violation of law or a clear mandate of public policy. Blue Star Mothers of America will not retaliate against a member or associate who discloses or threatens to disclose to the National Executive Board, the Department Executive Board, or the Chapter Executive Board, or a public body any activity, policy, or practice of Blue Star Mothers of America that the member reasonably believes in violation of law or rule or regulation mandated pursuant to law or is in violation of clear mandate. And last but not least, Article 16 says that the Code of Conduct may be amended every 3 years at the National Convention by a 2/3 vote of eligible voting delegates present and voting. An emergency proposal may be submitted in a non-governing proposal year in the event that current governing documents would be in conflict with a change in local, state, or federal laws. Any proposed amendments and resolutions shall be circulated to all members at least 30 days prior to convention so that the membership will have the opportunity to review all proposed amendments and make recommendations to their respective convention delegates. Any department, chapter, or member submitting proposed amendments or resolutions must include an explanation for the proposed change or be present at convention or have a representative at convention to speak about the proposal. Amendments passed by the convention body shall be reviewed by the National Executive Board and the corporation's legal counsel for conformity and compliance with the corporation charter and Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code as amended. And amendments to the governing document shall take effect at the close of the National Convention at which they are adopted. With a 2/3 vote of the convention body, a specific amendment may take effect immediately. And this concludes our training.